It's been a couple seasons since I first covered one of these on the channel, and they have made some very nice updates. Welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV, down here at Grand Design today. I saw the very first original Serenova prototypes that came out, and I've been kind of keeping my eyes on them the last few years, but I haven't had a chance to go through them in depth again until today. And these 26 updates are looking very, very sharp. Now, this is very much, I think, a niche kind of product. This is not for everybody, but it has some really classy details, and there are some features on this. Like, you're gonna look at this and be like, why is this so much more expensive than other 20-foot single axle campers? Well, there's a lot of little reasons for it. First of all, the whole like front nose shape design, the maximized window coverage front and back. It's a little RV that gives you amazing views of your destination. And like, who is this for? I think that if you are a solo cruiser, you want to really travel around and get to see stuff and have a comfortable base kind of camp base pad, this could work. Now, if you're a cozy, camping, glamping little couple who likes these cute little things, you are going to have an absolutely awesome time. It has a lot of the feels and the features of like a Euro-inspired Class B van wrapped up here into a single axle camper. And actually, we've got a special guest with us. I don't think he realized we were recording, but once we come back into you're going to get to meet Mr. Matt Eppers. Matt is actually the brand manager behind the Serenova product, and he's going to give me a little bit of a cheat sheet. He might do some, we'll see if he's willing to do some toilet selfie action later today.
Try it out.
We could try it out. All right. We can always edit that out later. I'm not going to, but we could.
Okay.
Anyway, so we have independent suspension package, 200-watt solar, enclosed docking center, a table that can kind of slide around, so if you're a little bit bigger like me or a little bit skinnier like Toothpick over here, you can do a little bit of whatever you want. True queen bed in the back, and a shockingly good amount of kitchen storage for what I would normally have expected. Good job on that, by the way.
Job.
So let's get in there, see what this thing has to offer, and if you appreciate how we get you down here, get you all the footage, hit that subscribe button. Let's go. Now, I would like to say the appearance of that chubby blueberry-looking guy in the reflection on the front of the refrigerator freezer is a little bit of a funhouse mirror effect, but if I'm calling a spade and a duck, as I like to try to do, I'm carrying about 60 pounds more than I need to, and I recently started working on that about 5 minutes ago. Haven't really done a lot of work on it, but I've decided. Anyway, one of the things I want to point out right when we walk in the door is that this has a full-size fridge and freezer. I think it's a 6 or 8 cubic foot, 12-volt compressor fridge. When you're in this kind of niche-style Euro-inspired camper, a lot of things have sometimes as small as a 3 cubic foot little mini fridge, you know. This actually has a decent full fridge on it. Now, as I back up here, there's a couple like obvious cool details, like the frontal and the rear similar window coverage is just awesome on this. It makes this little RV not look and feel quite so small. One of the things I want to point out, though, I think is a really cool aspect of this RV is like when this video began, we were outdoors and we could hear a lot of just like ambient noise. But if I get quiet for a second, it's suddenly much quieter in here. Part of which is due to this soft-touched motorized ceiling liner that we have right here. And that organically cuts down on so much noise in the RV. Something that I can't, I think, effectively demonstrate on camera is the upgraded Klipsch sound system. You talk to people who have been listening to music for a long time, Klipsch stuff, generally pretty good. I'm not telling you this is the full-on audiophile, blow your eardrums out sound system you might have in your house, but it's not terrible. Also, look at the thickness of these cushions. They are down with the thickness, and they are nice and comfy and plush and solid and feel pretty good to sit on. But if you're looking at this, you're like, the table is like way off center. Like, how is anyone supposed to fit through there? I think I demonstrated in my little flyby footage, but this table actually can slip, slide, and dip, duck, dive, and dodge in a bunch of different directions right here. It also, as you can see, is a single telescopic pedestal style leg. So it is somewhat of a knee knocker. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but this can fold down into a large bonus sleeper. And depending on your size, again, if you're a little bit thicker in the midsection like I am currently, you can kind of weave your way around this thing. Now, as I sit down over here, you kind of might have noticed a little peek at it from the entry door. We have our what is this? Is this smart TV? I believe it is. Yeah, 12-volt smart TV. And the you've got another one of these back in the bedroom area. They're both on swing arms, so you can kind of pivot them around a little bit. But when you are sitting here, just the general view and experience is awesome. And I really like this big frontal countertop, basically, where I tell you, my cat, I don't go camping with my cat, but if I did, he would just be up on that glass watching and judging the flesh peasants who walk by, because I'm pretty sure that's how cats view humans, as flesh peasants. He would just be sitting there soaking up the sun, absolutely loving it. And on top of the window treatment, I don't know if you noticed, this is, if I can find it, a blackout roller shade, so you can blot the sun out and not be cooking in this thing. That little bar right there, so that if you do want to put stuff up here, decorate, it can actually be a functional space. Now, they have gone with, well, it's not just Euro inspired, it's literal Euro cabinetry. These cabinet doors are imported from, I think it's called Technoform out of Italy. And it's very much a motorhome gravity-defying style. You can see all of the pocket screwing going on in here. Something else that's kind of nice on these is the soft close nature of it. So just as you're getting in and out of it, you don't have that big clack and clank and banging around and everything. Now, your front window is a dual pane windshield, automotive windshield. All the other windows like this that you see are going to be a dual pane, actual hollow acrylic Euro style window. They are intensely noise dampening, and they have about 2.5 times better R values as compared to even the best glass used in RV towable thermal pane windows. I always forget, you got to really make sure you grab these in the middle, because otherwise you can kind of twist them up halfway like I sort of did right there. But you have your day and night shades, and you can, raise and lower them, whatever section you feel. I guess technically this window is not acrylic. This is just a traditional glass window in the entry door here. They have changed from their original Euro style door into a more traditional RV door right here. They basically were just having better service records with it, surprisingly. I wouldn't have predicted that, but they let the stats talk to them and said this thing was the more problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata. The privacy shade built into the door there, and right as we walk in, we've got our little command center where you do have just single push buttons for all the lights. One of the things I like on this is all of the indirect lighting that we have in here. So when you're doing like stealth mode camping, if you're doing some evening, nighttime navigation, you can see your way through here pretty nicely, pretty effectively overall. Now up top here, we do have an XL vent fan, so that if you are just kind of boondock dry camping, not running that 13,500 BTU air, 13 or 15. I'll have to double check that. I am so sorry. There have been some updates on this, and we're right on the cusp of a model year change. So sometimes things are in a little bit of a flux this time of year, and I'm just trying to, I don't want to get stuff wrong. I appreciate when manufacturers do this. Just the little radius curve on the wall right here, they could have squared it off. It would have been fine. It just looks and feels so much nicer to me. Just my own personal 2 cents. I also noticed how they, this is their, if I'm not mistaken, furnace air intake and exhaust down here. The way that they've just kind of dressed that up and pressed that up, but also utilizing all the little space that they could in every way that they possibly could. And that looks like a heavier duty reinforced drawer bottom there, because if that's a bigger drawer, you could possibly put some heavier weight into that. I didn't want to close that too hard, but it is soft close, which is nice. Working our way around here, moving over into the kitchen, in case you're curious. This is TFL countertops, aka thermofoil. We've got some household USB plugs right there. These are additional switches for some of your indirect lights. You might notice they've gone to induction cooktop over here. Now, if you are boondock dry camping, this will be prepped for a 2,000 watt inverter, which will run basically everything except for this air fryer convection 3-in-1 electric microwave oven combo down here and the air conditioner. So the two, historically, these had a 3K inverter prep, but they weren't actually wired to the air conditioner, which made no sense. So they said, well, if we're not going to wire to the air, we might as well prep for a 2,000 system and it simplifies the wiring and ends up saving a bunch of money, basically, as a result. I'm going to come back and open the rest of this storage in just a minute here. Like, you'll notice some bonus drawers down here below the bed. This is a 60 by 80 true queen, by the way, but as you might obviously notice, it is very much an east-west bed. That's one of the reasons I think this makes for a very nice solo camper. If you are a couples camping scenario, and one of you has to get up and use the bathroom at night, you might need to climb over one another. Or if you don't tend to go to bed and or wake up at similar times, that might be somewhat problematic. That's just part of camping. That's part of choosing the floor plan that works best for you. And that's why I take the time to kind of discuss and point that stuff out to help make sure that we're finding you your second camper the first time around. That's kind of what I mean when I say stuff like that. The cabinets on the left and right sides of the bed, as you're facing the rear wall, are basically the exact same things you find above the dinette, which creates some tricky corners. So they open the space up, they add some power outlets up there. They make sure that remains some kind of a functional space. Now, the cabinet doors kind of overlap, so I'm going to come back to the middle section here. But as long as we're showing all the storage, I figured I'd just, I don't know, show all the storage. As you can obviously tell, and as my wife can attest, I don't tend to think before I speak. The things just kind of come out of my mouth like a leaking faucet. Now, you've got a couple handy dresser drawers down here under the bed, which is great. They haven't wasted any of the space under the bed, though. That, for the most part, is utilized when we get outdoors. I love this top drawer, though. I love this. This reminds me very much of the Coachman Freedom Express utensil drawer, as I like to call it. But it creates... They use all the potential storage space under the sink because this drawer has to wrap around that little square stainless farm sink, which, by the way, what is your opinion on the execution of the kitchen, like appliances and countertop space? For a small camper like this, I personally feel they did they danced a very tight line of giving us counter space and function space kind of all in one. Now, again, all these drawers, nice little soft close kind of mechanism on them, have a very nice heavy duty sort of hand feel. I'm going to slide this guy out of the way. Just so that you can see, you do have drawers all the way down to the floors over here. And to showcase the rest of it, if I get that out of the way, again, that little cutaway for the sink, they're really utilizing all the individual little space they possibly can. Pardon my foot on the cabinetry. I'm trying to be as gentle and respectful there as possible, but I want to showcase all the space for you. One thing I noticed with these Technoform Italian doors, these center cabinet doors here kind of overlap and fight with one another. I will also tell you, the camera is currently reading this cabinetry far more yellow and warmer than it actually is. I don't exactly know why we have that going on, but this is far more of like an off-white, almost washed out kind of look. It is not this like super warm yellowish thing that's showing up. I think the camera's just struggling between the exterior lighting and the interior lighting right now. So enough of that. Let's move over here. One of the other things that I really noticed that stuck this floor plan stuck out to me is a dry bath instead of a wet bath, where you have a full separate shower and toilet area. A lot of the little trailers like this very commonly have a dry bath. So the coloration that we're looking at right now is a little more accurate. Again, apologies for how weird it was looking before. This foot flush stool over here, actually, the space around it was not terrible. And it sounds silly, but one of the things I'm always looking for is, where do the butt napkin rolls go? Well, it has these handy little shelves right next to you that they utilized in that little corner radius wall, I think, very effectively. Like, I had good space around that. I was very overall happy with this bathroom. Something that might be a little bit polarizing, though, is this thing right here. If you take a look on the left side of the screen, you see that's a folding, almost truck camper style sink. That jelly is not everyone's jam, but they wanted to make sure they had a separate sink for you here in this bathroom below that medicine cabinet. They had to get cute and creative like that to give you an actual dry bath in this RV. The thing is, like, if you're like, I don't like that, you've always got the kitchen sink you can use. Some people don't care about washing the bathroom hands in the kitchen sink. Some people, that's an absolute heck no, basically. And I guess Grand Design has done what they could to allow you to choose. One of the other little things I noticed is that generally speaking, other than when my head was in the skylight in the shower, like you saw that I was standing under the air conditioner shroud right there. For the most part, it feels surprisingly spacious and comfortable in here, even though this is, as far as I know, the only narrow body product that Grand Design actually makes. And with no slides, there's no worries about road mode. If you pull into a campsite late at night, you don't even got to unhook. Back this sucker in, hop in, sleep it off, wake up, finish your hookup then in the morning. Now on the outside here, it's small. It has that nice suspension package. It has anti-lock brakes and electronic anti-sway. So it's very towable and goable. The thing is, this RV weighs like, I think about 4,400 pounds empty, give or take. It has about 1,000 pounds of cargo capacity, almost on the nose. I think actually the one that I looked at, the tags literally said 1,000 pounds of available cargo capacity. That doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but when you consider the size of the RV, I think it's okay. I don't think it's over the top. I think the fact that this is about 4,400 pounds, though, kind of helps suggest the fact that it's built a little bit thicker. Like, when you look at this, let's not mince words. When you look at this, it's absolutely shaped and looks kind of like that sort of in-tech sort of concept. But it's not built like that at all. It's not basically like a hung glass with a hollow wall with aluminum skeleton that's very, very lightweight and very cool. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing in-tech. We carry them at some of our stores. This is just very different. Some of the things, though, is like where a lot of that weight is coming from is that this does have a fully constructed snow load walk-on roof, which is very rare for this style of like fancy little mini glamper that we're looking at right here. Most of them do not have a walkable roof. That's multiple hundreds of pounds of extra weight here. It does have an all aluminum chassis. If you look at the tongue jack, it looks funny. It's actually a one-touch auto leveling system on here as well. The underbelly is enclosed. It is forced air heated. It does have holding tank heat pads. This basically has the full same insulation and heating package as like a Solitude fifth wheel for 6 figures. You know, there's reasons this is a more expensive little camper. There's also little details that are very hard to present on camera. Like, you can see all the little storage compartments and you got the little sprayer hose in there. What is harder to discern and to understand is the thickness and the heft and the rigidity of these baggage doors. It's built thicker than most things in this class. Now, you might notice they have moved away from that motorized style power step and that Euro door that they were using originally. I said, okay, why? And basically the answer, especially on that power step, was just like service records. They found that the service records on it, just to put it bluntly, sucked. That power step was not up to snuff. It was not the kind of thing that they wanted to put their stamp and hang their hat on, and they got rid of it. Goodyear Endurance radials down here with a MORryde independent suspension package. Let me actually get you down here past these. I think that's a powder-coated aluminum fender, basically, that sticks out. So you don't have a traditional axle system on here. Now, combine this independent suspension with things like the Dexter Tow Assist system, which is both anti-sway and anti-lock braking, all electronically handled through the brakes of the RV itself. This is going to be an extremely comfortable towing camper. So it might weigh more than some other things. It will probably handle better than most other single axle campers, even some of which are lighter weight. Now, back here, you see what I lovingly refer to as the junk in the trunk storage center. It's a rear to side or side to rear pass-through. It almost looks like they flirted with the idea of building a camp kitchen into this, because you saw that one partition over there. I think if you wanted to add like your own outdoor refrigerator, you could, but they didn't force that on you. That's a Class 2 receiver hitch, by the way. essentially that is a light duty accessory hitch. That is not a normal like 300-pound 2-inch square receiver like you see on a lot of RVs. So it's basically like a 1 or 2 bike rack only. Kind of keep that little detail there in mind. Now the rear storage under that rear queen bed, it goes again from the side to the back, because over here you actually have a fully enclosed docking center, which is very, very cool. This is where you're going to find your, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 40 amp charge controller up in there. Oh, nope, that's a 30 amp. Okay. Oh, Imagine's run a 40 amp controller. This runs a 30 amp, which is, I don't know why they're not a little more consistent, but it doesn't matter. That's what it has. Oh, the windows. This has that Euro style acrylic window. The window is a hollow dual pane, which, like, when you get into a luxury fifth wheel and you pay for thermo pane windows, it's not a hollow charged thermal pane window. Thermo with an O is not thermal with an AL on the end. So keep in mind, the words make a difference, essentially. What do we got a lot on camera. Let's start on the right hand side. We've got a 60,000 BTU tankless on demand water heater, sewer hose, handy helper caddy tube, and shockingly, this little camper has a dual-headed sewer monster. My guess is because, I don't even know why. I don't know why. I'm sure there's a reason, because typically Grand Design is very good about cross-plumbing everything together. There has to be a reason I don't fully understand and comprehend standing here that forced them to do what they did. It could just be the position of the holding tanks versus the suspension. I don't know. I'm just a little surprised to see that. One thing I want to kind of caution you on, there's some fakey stuff in the industry. I have seen a couple RV brands that are painting the tongues of their RVs gray to make you think their steel chassis is aluminum, and they're not. This is an actual aluminum, very different chassis. And again, the auto leveling package here on a little trailer like this, that's another thing where that's an extra chunk of weight. But if you are looking for that one-touch simplicity, the best way I can describe this is that it is a towable mini motorhome in mindset and execution. So it's been a couple years. What do you think about this little thing right here? Good, bad, ugly, in between. Let them know where they nailed it, where they failed it, so that we can get that info back to guys like Matt that you saw when the video began here, or in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet in the other office space that he had. I don't know. Anyway, short of that, I'll leave you some links to our website. You can see where we have these. And at least the MSRP, typically in the case of a Grand Design, we're not able to publish anything other than MSRP, but we don't sell for MSRP. We don't do hidden dealer fees. Keep all that little details there in mind when you check our website. That you know, the numbers that you see, we might have a better figure available than that for you. It's an annoying policy that we can't really work around, so there you go. Anyway, if you appreciate what we're doing, hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you next time. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.